students enlisted to write the JAM. When the results came out, 1.5 million, 1.52 million Nigerians scored less than 200 out, or rather less than 200 over 400. And a lot of questions were asked on the performance of the students. Coalitions were being formed by parents to take JAMs to court, having cited issues of technical glitches, lack of transparency on the part of JAM, malfunctioning of computers and all that. Before I continue, I must let us understand the fact that JAM examinations are conducted through CBT tests, no longer the analog system of conducting JAM exams that we, my generation, used in writing. The present generation have gone digital, and CBT test is the new norm in conducting of examinations and evaluation of students all over Nigeria. Moving forward, I've got two very wonderful gentlemen that are going to throw more insight into this discussion this afternoon. I have to my immediate left, Comrade Chika Moso. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, viewers.
And of course, to my far left, I have Barrister Sam Igbo. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me today once again.
Yes, we're looking at JAM, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Examination, 2025 in retrospect. What is your perception of the 2025 Joint Admissions and Matriculation Examination?
Well, every year JAM has been improving because I decided to take statistics of how many people participated in JAM in 2024 and how many participated in 2025. Just a year before now. And I discovered that last year it was like about 1.8 and this year is 1.9. I don't want to pull those figures around it. And so that we have an overview of what has happened. I know we'll go into the analysis of whether the computer system is helping us or not helping us. But I want to say that if we're 30 people and 10 persons failed, and if we're 70 persons and 20 persons failed, the 20 is more, but in terms of percentage, you would agree with me that the failure is almost the same thing, all right? Or even the 20 is better than the 10 failing for 30, and then 20 failing for 70 or 80. You know, so that's on one hand, because I took a statistics of those who had below 200 in 2025, and those who had below 200 in 2024. I saw that the percentage of people who had less than 200 in 2024 is higher than those who had less than 200 in 2025, even though you would say that the performance this year is very low. Because I also wanted to compare another, use another figure, 250 and above. And I discovered that those who had 250 and above in 2024, where they had 1.8 million candidates, was higher than those who had 250 in 2025, where they had 1.9 million candidates. So generally, looking at it, I have also come to the conclusion that the performance this year is low, but not that bad, because we have higher people participating now, and higher people crossed that 200 mark. This is over 200. That means a greater number of people had higher percentage score
Just
of 200
an additional
and above.
100,000, 1.8, 1.9, just an additional 100,000.
You know, so yes, I agree with you, but at least I'm looking at the average. How many people had less than 200 in 2024, and how many people now had above 200 or less than 200 in 2025? I discovered that more people had less than 200 in 2024, and more people had more than 200 in 2025. Even though on the average, we will say that the performance this year is lower. So I submit that the performance this year is lower, and I'm sure as the program goes on, we may begin to now look at the factors that may have led to the underperformance
let's get your legal overview of the joint admissions and matriculation examinations 2025.
Well, examinations are JAMB, like you said, have been in existence for years now, and immediately after JAMB released their result, they always give statistics of the performance unfortunately, this year, from their statistics, they have stated that the performance this year is very, very low. That in fact they said it is poor, probably compared to what they expected. There is always two dimensions to examinations. As a teacher, you can be blamed. A teacher can be blamed for the poor performance of his students. Again, the students can as well be blamed for their poor performance. We know, but in the case of JAMB is not an examination that is conducted by teachers per se. It is an institution, a government institution that says such questions, and the students are given schemes of work to prepare. Now it is believed that they had the adequate time to prepare for the exams, and the modalities for the conduct of the exam, I think, was followed strictly sensu by JAMB itself. Now the issue is what are actually the causes of this poor performance, as seen in the results already, result that was recently released. I believe that is what we will discuss later, as my colleague has just stated.
Yes,
We'll look
interesting.
into that.
Sure, we're going to be looking into that. We're looking at JAM, and let's look at the preparation of our children for joint admissions and matriculation examinations. The preparation of students. Some parents came out to say this JAM syllabus especially the mathematics, is far way beyond the secondary school children, that they do further maths or additional mathematics in mathematics and every other. But we've heard someone just spoke before we came into that our daughter got 292, and I premised on that, and I said yes, if you read, you pass. So let's look at the preparation of students from the school to the attitude of this generation, not wanting. I've never seen, I stand to be corrected, any young boy or young girl going to the library that I'm going to read. I know my generation, we went to the library, we carried a Bible. They don't have a textbook they can get attached to. We had Abbott was for physics, Ababio was biology. We had so many like that, so many textbooks that we were borrowing textbooks, but now everybody's on social media, and it's affected performance, not just JAM, school side, but let's look at preparation of students. What has been the degenerative factor towards most students preparing for external examinations and evaluations, and that has put us in this situation as parents, as school heads, as administrators, and as citizens of this country?
Well, I think you have helped us by mentioning the key word, the preparation of students. Those days when we were doing JAM, they used to say this thing, whether jam you, I think now you jam. These days, it looks like the students don't care what happens, whether jam them or they jam. And it also gives you a signal into whether people still love education as much as we used to do then or not. Because on Saturday morning, this is a nephew. He just said, I'm just coming back from JAM. I'm trying to say I didn't see any element of preparation prior to this JAM.
Exactly.
So if he comes out and says JAM was
difficult,
the score was bad or JAM was difficult, I would not blame the body, the institution that organized the exam. I would rather blame him for not preparing, because during JAM, those days, I don't know whether because we are not in that circle, you will see that people are preparing for a particular exam.
You will know.
You will see. It's not as if you just wake up the next morning and you go and write an exam. No prior preparation, no element of seriousness. We still see you do the normal activities you used to do.
You only get to know JAM is that day they're writing JAM.
When they are done. So, really, we are increasing the standard of education, but the love for education is waning. A lot of people don't really give, they say school is scam. It's like a lot of people are, putting this thing, imbibing it that school is scam. Let's just do it for formality's sake, And there's another factor, how that sometimes you even struggle and do this JAM and you still don't get admission. people who don't pass like you, who don't have good scores like you, end up getting the admission. So apart from students' personal preparations, I think our society has a lot to do what's happening in the society. You know, things are not working. We complain of a system that is not good, but another one is a system that is not even working.
Yes,
You know, and it discourages you from putting your effort in something you know that it's not all by effort. You can put all this effort and it still will not work. And somebody who has not made much effort will succeed. That's the second one. Then the third one, although they complain of glitches, I didn't participate in that exam, but there's a possibility. Because I once attended a school, and I don't want to mention the school, let it not appear like demarketing. A student finished CBT and he scored 0. This is not possible. He had to go back to tell them that what is happening, the system was not working fine. So again, we are a nation that we want to improve, but it looks like we have not grown to the extent of taking some of all this technology. And of course, it affected our elections. So if it affected a national election, how much more JAM, which is just an institution in the nation. So it's also possible that some of these glitches may have also affected the results that we are getting. Because how is it possible that this student had 0 in an examination he has been... I'm not talking of primary or secondary school, I'm talking of the university. And then you came out, he saw that what he was taking was not even, you know, the system was not taking it. So again, I wouldn't know whether we should apportion blame to technology, but I know there's a possibility that this could have also affected the results. And so these are my points. Lack of preparation, the love for education waning, and then of course this technological factor may have affected the results we are getting so far.
Yeah, Barrister, let's look at the influence of parents. We have found out that most new generation parents encourage their children to aid and abet their children in examination practices. They register them in external centers where the results can be influenced and all that. And with the mindset that my parents are going to aid me, that means the urge to read would always not be there. It didn't happen in our time. Parents can't do that. Society abhors it, but now it's the norm. And like you referenced, school is a scam. That slogan has become institutionalized, especially when you look at the proliferation of 2-star, 3-star, 3-star to 5-star hotel by young youths that should be in the university between the ages of 14 and 17, habiting these places, living a life of luxury and affluence, and a distraction for those serious-minded ones. So the influence of parents in preparing their children for examinations, and of course, what is happening right now. How can you evaluate that?
Yes, there is no gainsaying the fact that some parents aid and abet examination malpractices. Now, all these things starts from even primary school. You see some parents take their, wards or children to special centers, even for primary school living certificate. Especially these people or those people in private schools. They don't want gap. They want the child to move forward. But you don't know that you are affecting the child's psyche adversely. They started from the beginning. Primary school living certificate, you know that your child is not too sound. If he or she goes for primary school living certificate, he might not be able to succeed. Now you take him or her to where he will do it, where it will be done in a special center. He gets it. Oh, he goes into a secondary school. Now he's there. When the time for SSC comes again, you start arranging. How will you go about it? Now, he or she goes for the SSC, he gets it, through Appian Way. Now, the next step is JAMB. What are we going to do? You are aware, the parent or especially the mothers, you are aware that this child cannot write WAEC and succeed. Now you start looking for other means to ensure that he or she writes WAEC and gets JAMB and get it. And all this has happened. Especially, there are some of these students in private schools. Ordinarily, they can tell them, give them simple examination. Many of them cannot pass, but you know they go a long way. They find means of various means of assisting them in order to pass and move forward. And when they come to the university, you see that they perform abysmally. So parents are, part of the problem. Apart from parents, too, like he said, all these things starts from a very good foundation. When you don't have a good foundation, there is no how you can build on it. When the foundation is shaky, there is no how a building will stand. Now that is the problem we have. Now some persons or some students pass through, primary and secondary schools. Now there is no foundation there. They don't have good foundation. They don't know anything. Some even jump from one class to another. When they fail, instead of repeating, their parents will call the principal or whoever and say, no, my child cannot repeat. But because the owners, the proprietors and proprietresses of these schools, private schools, want money, they will promote those children. They go to the next class. And all these things have affected, the gamut, the general gamut of, the studies and educational prowess of that child. Now, the institution, our society, like he said, contributes a lot. You will see a primary school living, somebody that possesses a primary school living certificate, he can be made a commissioner. Somebody that has SSC or what we call it, WAEC those days, will be made a commissioner. He can contest election and go to House of Assembly. Now, he becomes a millionaire overnight. You see him drive, Jeep worth 50 million naira, and he's in charge of a local government and all this. And he makes money from politics, and that has deterred, so many young ones from reading. So there is no more interest in reading because if you go to university, you graduate, there is no job waiting for you. There is no job at all. So all these things contributed or are contributing to poor performance of our students. In the universities, they glue to their phone. They watch TikTok. They go browse. They do all sorts of things.
Creating content.
They don't read. But the students, like he said, students that are preparing for JAMB, in those days, you have a bucket of water under your table. Put your two legs there so that you won't sleep. You take some substances like tea. There are some kind of teas you take so that you won't sleep. You have your syllabus beside you as you read.
I was going to syllabus.
You have your past questions. You read and read and read.
I was going into that. Now we're looking at the quality of the standard of education now vis-a-vis 20, 30 years ago, and the impact of the quality of education. Is it the falling standard of the quality of education? Is this the issue with the West African Examinations Council towards preparing an updated syllabus, or the National Universities Commission, or the teachers, the quality of teachers? So it's quite a bogus one. Besides all we have said, what is the quality of education in Nigeria?
Well, every problem initially looks bogus. Anything you have not attempted to solve, they look big until you've done it. It's really a complex situation because, when we're talking about preparation and the contribution of parents, it's the area I really wanted to hammer on or add to what he's saying is that the institutions themselves are not encouraging. In fact, let me say the other way around. They are encouraging substandard education for our children. For example, I was in the north. It was in the north I discovered that what you call malpractice is not malpractice. It's something they do. Like it's a normal thing. Like you as a teacher, you're supposed to help the students. Yes. They prepare you, they tell you. So we call it malpractice in the south. In the north, it is not. And these people are going to come and compete with us in this field. Unfortunately, they appear to even be more successful than us because they don't find it hard to get jobs, to get appointments, to grow. Even if we enter the same office today, you find if it's just one northern and here you have somewhere somehow he gets the help to begin to grow even faster than the others. I don't know, but we're in the same society. So the most painful one is the aspect of schools who are supposed to teach students, pupils to learn, now encouraging them not to learn. It's very annoying. So we have to begin to look at these things. Then secondly is the syllabus. But that is for personal growth, that we can't compete with our fellows outside in terms of what they are teaching us now and what the society requires of us. Because they say drastic situation requires drastic measures. When we were growing up, we didn't have access to phone, to TV. Some of us were going to our neighbors' places to watch television. Now some of us will have television. The light is not enough. We have solar system helping us. These things are supposed to actually boost our morale to, strive for a better, a higher quality life. However, it has become a source of distraction to us. Therefore, we must make education more interesting, a little bit more, though not more simple, because if the law of physics is this, we are not going to change it because we are in a new society. But there's a way we can teach these things to make it easy, make it more interesting, so that those places people go that we call distractions, such as phone, they can actually learn things there. If you have something to learn on the internet, I'm sure it will take you time than when you have nothing to learn. So we can make education more interesting, make our syllabus more futuristic. Because sometimes I go to seminars, especially within our states, and I hear some people talk about people graduating and they lack employability. For me, that's how do they call it, when you work against yourself? Because it's the system that brought the teacher, brought the syllabus, and are teaching the student. And when the student comes out of school, you say they are not employable. Who taught them? Exactly. They went through the system, so you are kind of indicting yourself. The system indicts itself. There is no way a student will go through a school that is of quality, through an institution that is quality, and then comes out, he has no quality. He is not employable, and all of that. So you see, the system has a lot to do. Now, having bad teachers, you have some bad teachers. I was in the secondary school when someone, a teacher, this we don't forget things like this easily. And she was asking the students, I hope you understand Igbo language, because she wanted to explain what she's telling the student or teaching the student in chemistry, in Igbo language. I wonder how I'm going to get it as a student. I wasn't in the class, but I heard her say that when I was passing. Because I was SP, so sometimes we also go to monitor one or two. And so I was just wondering, at that time we had no mouth to speak. We were just students like every other person. But I'm telling you that the crop of teachers we have these days, well, it is the system that created them. So that's why we must go back to the system to begin to see. Because, see, anything you celebrate multiplies. If we celebrate the fact that it doesn't make you shouldn't look for quality, we must not have quality. This thing will continue to multiply, and it will get to a level where it begins to affect every other thing we do. So again, but this is even at the end of it. We're talking of the process that even takes you to that, to that place, which is, preparation, people learning, people loving education. I think we have a lot to do.
Nigerians are learning, they are unlearning, and they are relearning. But how well they allow the impact of what they are learning to remain with them calls for question on the integrity of our educational sector. If you're just joining us, it's the faculty, like I said, the Public Affairs Program on Delta Broadcasting Service. And I've got two guests in the studio, Chika Omoso and Sam Fufu. You're welcome once again. Now let's look critically at the implications. Now, you spoke eloquently well on the perception of the barrister. What is the way forward? What is the way forward? Because looking at it critically, we're in a mess.
Yes, the truth of the matter is that he just talked about something about our curriculum, rejuvenating our curriculum. We need to, make our curriculum look more impacting. I think that's not a problem. The truth is this: Nigerian students, they do well when they live here. Hope you are aware.
We are aware.
When they go out of this country, they do better because the facilities and every other thing, are available wherever they go. So that is why they always come out with flying colors. Now, coming to our universities, for example, somebody, oftentimes, yes, like you said, people will say we graduate, we have graduates or graduates who are not employable. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that proposition, because if you watch carefully, recently the NUEC introduced some courses into Nigerian curriculums, university curriculum, such as AI and other, courses, just to the purpose of bringing in all these courses is to align with global world best practices. That is what is obtainable. Like for example, when I was doing my postgraduate program, I had in my master's degree, I had a professor that worked in Harvard Library. So you discover that we are online all the time. Whatever they are doing in Harvard was what we are doing. The materials they were using was what we were using. We got all these things online. Though as a lawyer, our laws are different from them, but we are all common law countries. We practice almost the same thing. Law of contract is law of contract. Constitutional law is constitutional law. So we're doing virtually the same thing they are doing over there. Now, when they say we are not employable, I know where they go to, because probably in those science-related courses where technology and other, then who is to be blamed? It is still, we relate it to the society, the government. The government should make everything available. They know those necessities, those things that are necessary to facilitate the teachings by the teachers and the learning by the students. Now, they know all this. They travel abroad. They take their children abroad for learning. Now, they know that we are lagging behind in some areas. When it comes to facilities, when it comes to equipment and others. Now, they know all these things. Government should do their best possible to ensure that these essential materials are available so that learning will be possible, and so that we can produce those people they say should be employable. Government know what they are doing.
Now, when you talk of
people
people should be employable, where are the jobs? Employable as keke riders.
Yes.
Employable as SMEs who need power to get to work their tools. So.
These are the issues. The issues are many. Like he was talking about bringing AI, they are adding. We are saying you should remove some. Yes, because see, we want to do masters here. In UK, masters is 9 months. 9 months you're done with your masters. They will value their certificate more than our own.
Yeah, they are not better than us.
Good.
They are not.
In our case here, you can spend 3 years pursuing masters.
Yes.
Because even your professor who is to supervise you doesn't know that you are his property. He has to mold you. He has to build you to be a better person. What you couldn't learn at your A level, you should do it here and do it well. Yeah, someone told me that when he was doing masters here, and he called his supervisor. The supervisor was asking, "How did you get my number?" Over there, they attach you to somebody. He takes you like his son or his daughter. They build you, they mentor you. So what is the problem? See, we need to grow up. Something is wrong with us in our system here.
That is just the society.
That is what is affecting us. Yeah, they talk about employability. It's not because we're not really employable. The jobs are not there. So they are just trying to, safeguard themselves, push the blame to the student. Because you come out, we compete for everything. And the competition, you look at it as not worth it. That's why our children, most of the young people, and I really love their spirit. Because if I had the kind of spirit they have now, they are not looking at the society anymore. They want to build themselves. Yes. They are looking for a way to even leave this environment, leave these premises, go to an area, to an environment where things are thriving, where they could also thrive. You do something and it works. That's why people are in school now, and they prefer to make content than to go and read their books in the library.
Let's look at
the problem.
two different generations. Our generation, we wrote jam. We used 2B biro, pencil, with shade 1 to 50. If I can.
Yeah.
Recall. Now, after that, the schools put their cutoff mark. The results come out after months, not days like we have presently because CBT. Then we go to our schools. If you beat the cutoff, fine. If you don't beat the cutoff, you start going for second batch, or you go to your second choice of university. But however, presently, the issue of post-UME, so that people that don't know would understand. After JAM, the schools don't even have their cutoff until JAMCON sets a benchmark of a general cutoff, then post-UME. Are this part of the roadblocks towards the actualization of the loss of zeal on the part of our students, our children, to write the JAM and all that, and the role of private universities? Let's look at it.
It is. And initially, one would say, this private university, they are spoiling things. They are not. They are helping people. Let me tell you why. You write JAM 4 times, you didn't get admission. You even met the quota, the cutoff mark, but there's no admission. Now, Nigeria will like complicating issues. We like adding to. We are saying what is in existence is a problem. Instead of us to refine it, we now bring another thing. You are saying people do JAM, they go to special centers, and that's why they make JAM. They get a good cutoff mark, but they don't perform well in schools. And so let's do post-UME. Who says they are not maneuvering in post-UMEs?
I wonder.
And that is the reason some people don't even concentrate in the JAM. Because some people had high scores in JAM. Post-UME, they could not make it. Some people had very low score in JAM. They made it in post-UME. They got the admission. It looks now like the post-UME now is more powerful. JAM is only to give you access to register for the post-UME. So a lot of people are even putting their energy in the post-UME more than the JAM. The truth is, if you consider JAM not relevant anymore, then scramble it. Let it go. Let's now rely on post-UME. But if you think JAM is a necessity, why did you bring the post-UME? I think we've debated on this a long time ago. What? So it's just that we don't like listening in our nation. Some people who are up there, once they decide that this is what we should do, they just go.
Once they see it in their dream, they don't decide what they dream of it.
And get it done. But that is not all we need. Let's not keep adding to the problem. Let's look for a way to solve the problem. That is one big issue.
The issue of post-UME is not. I don't think it is to, prevent students or candidates from gaining admission. There is this, lack of trust. There's this distrust between the university community or the academics who are spread all over in the university and JAM. They are aware that many candidates who seek admission, have various ways of making their JAM. Now, we talked about special centers. It was all over everywhere. It was all over everywhere that so many candidates go to, various special centers. When this information was, available across the domain, everybody knew about this. And the university, the ivory towers believe that, it will not be too good for them to rely on JAM. And they believe that anybody that does well in JAM would be able to do well in the post-UME. And when you discover that the questions that they ask, the questions that the candidates, attempt in post-UMEs are not more difficult than what you have in JAM. Then don't forget too that how it works is that JAM, if you have a score in JAM and you have a certain score in your post-UME, it will be added together. There is a way they add it and
they give you an aggregate,
and you have an aggregate, including your WAEC score. The rationale behind it is to get the best students.
But are we not making education more complex, more expensive? Because the post-UME is not coming to you free. You pay for WAEC, you pay for JAM, you pay for post-UME before you even finally get admission. Yeah. We are saying in a system because we are civilizing. People are not loving education as they used to love it before. Yet the society is making it more complex. And that was why I even mentioned the private university. That they are helping. Some people who are in private universities, because after doing all this jam, post-UME, they couldn't get admission.
Now,
it's only private university that will now, it's private universities that are now seeing the abilities of the students to now give them admission.
Yes, now you just talked about private universities. Now, in a public university, you paid money for your JAM. If you do your JAM as it is, as it ought to be, you won't spend much. The post-UME examinations don't cost much. Let us be sincere. Now, these people you talk about that are in private universities, you know what they pay. Even if they don't spend money after their JAM, some of them they don't do post-UME exam. But you know what they pay. In some universities in Nigeria, they pay more than 2 million naira. Some pay more than 1 million naira compared to what you have in public.
But you enter and you graduate when you're supposed to graduate.
No,
and
the
idea.
Sorry, do you need to, if a student does not perform well, I am a university lecturer. There are some students in my faculty who say, look, you can't proceed from here. You have not done well. Every university have their policies. They have laws. Now, if you cannot get up to one point, you can't remain in this faculty. You can't remain in this.
The question I wanted to ask, sir, is
this
aggregate they look for in JAM and post-UME, what was it supposed to do? It was supposed to give you a student who can pass the courses in year 1, year 2, So if at the end of the day, someone is still having 1 point something, there's a problem with even the selection process. That's what I'm just saying, that we are making things more complex. We are discouraging people from. You may say that these things are not expensive, but you are going to travel to go and you are going to look for accommodation in where you are going to do post-UME. We are just complicating things. The last jam they did, someone was criticizing the former presidential candidate. Okay, yeah, I should say former now. Presidential candidate of Labour Party, that they conducted the exam by 6 a.m. I say no, they have to do screening by 6 a.m. It starts by 6 a.m. That means you have to be there. If you are, when we were going to school, I entered the university at 18. And we're not like the American children where at 18 they prepared you to go and stay on your own. At 16, 17, you are still under your parents and you have to go and do jam or even the post-UME. That means you have to travel there, you have to look for accommodation there. We are making things complex in our country. This is not supposed to be. We should refine things. We should make things easy. People don't have to travel this far and travel this early because they want to write exam to enter a university. These things are they are making things more difficult for the young people.
No, you talked about traveling. I don't see any reason why a JAM candidate should travel out of his own
local government. What of post-UME?
Yeah,
because I'm saying the system is complex.
Yes.
Not only just JAM, but the whole system of getting to
I don't think traveling to an institution to write a test, I will call it a test, a CBT test, is a problem. No matter you too, when you are choosing your institution, you know how you are. You know how capable you are for you to choose an institution.
Yeah.
If you are talking of federal institutions, if you want to choose Ibadan, we will have them. Even in Delta State, we have federal institutions in Delta State. Yeah. So you have your choice as a candidate. So I don't see any reason why somebody should travel to Lagos or travel to Ibadan.
I think my generation should wake up to see that if you want to even school in Lagos and they are doing post-UME, there's a way you can write your post-UME.
I think we'll get there.
If you pass and you go, because when you are going to school, it's a different case. Your parents can take you there, and as you grow and mature, you can begin to fend for yourself.
Sorry, Michelle. I think we will get there. You see, we are improving. Before now, according to you, we were using HB pencil. Yeah. Now.
And we are sure now. After that, CBT can just give you something, and nobody will say you did not do well.
After that exam, we wait for 4 or 5 months. Now, within 1 week, it is done. I think we are improving. I foresee a situation where CBT exam, post-UTME exam will be held. Everybody, you use your laptop or your phone to do it, and immediately you see your result. I think we are moving forward.
We are getting there. Funny enough, a lot of examinations now are being done through CBT to make it a lot easier for the marking process. But last words, this time let's direct it to our children. Yes, as we're rounding up. What
Well,
will your advice to this generation of children?
well, listen to me. Education is not for you to make money. Education is to refine you, open you up, enlarge you. That thing you're carrying, that gift inside of you, education is meant to refine it. And forget the fact that people crave to enter school because their colleagues, their mates in quote, are in school. That's not the essence of your education. You should discover your innate ability and strive to work on it, refine it. That's what education should do. And secondary school, that's where this thing is supposed to start. So our teachers have to be better teachers to find out what a student is good at. This is what the Oyibos are doing that we're not doing. So that you guide these children in the best line that suits them as, checking their abilities, their scores in subjects. Right from JSS1, not even the senior class in the secondary school. Education is not a scam. It's very good.
You and I never had phone using. We used logbook.
Yeah.
Logbook, but now you see our children use phones and all that.
Don't get yourself distracted. Focus on where you are going. All of these gadgets, we'll have better gadgets in future.
Yeah.
And so if you prepare yourself, and there are young men that are doing this thing, so use it to learn and improve yourself.
Yes, let me say that education remains the best, the hub of every nation, whether you like it or not. We must take our education seriously. Our younger ones, our children who are up there should wake up to the challenge. They should rise up to the challenges. They shouldn't have this belief that education is scam. Education is never scam. Like he said, education is not just to gain employment. It prepares you in life. Now, the issue of phones, some of them
or
use
social media.
to social media activity, TikTok and what have you. They don't. I teach them. I know what they do. Even while in class, they are using. They are doing something else. They are chatting, doing a lot of things. When you ask them, what did I just say? Oh, I can't remember.
These are supposedly adults.
So many of them
Yes, they are not children
serious.
anymore.
Many of the students are not serious. They are glued to their social media. They are full every minute. They are on their phone because they have this belief that education is a scam.
So what is the option, please?
they
One
believe-
more,
they
30
believe
seconds. If education is scam, what is the option?
No, education is not scam.
No, if they are, you said they
They
believe.
believe to them.
To them,
Education
what is their
scam.
option? If
Yeah, you know
education
what
is
they
scam?
do now? They see you and I as outdated person.
Yes.
They believe that we have a archaic attitude. They believe that we don't
have G,
we are
we don't have
analog.
G-Wagon. We don't
Yeah,
have,
we don't.
we don't
They
have
believe,
iPhone
they
16.
believe,
We are stereotyped.
you are not driving
Old
a
fashioned.
Mercedes. They use one finger to drive, to handle the steering. They
Right.
believe that you are analog. Don't mind that analog man. He does not know what is going on now. He said that is we have children. When you talk to them, when you tell them, during our time, we did this, we did this. I told my
Yes,
son.
he
I
said,
told
what
my
have
son,
you
I said,
achieved?
What have you achieved?
I think, yes. Now the next question is, what have you achieved? That is the next question they will ask you. Do you know that my classmate now has a car worth 20 million naira? That is their response.
Well, that's been a wonderful discussion.
Education is the
It's not-
best legacy.
Well,
It's
however
important.
you want to
Make
look at
sure
it,
you have
for me, education is not a scam. It's
No.
the,
And
yes,
keep
it's the
learning.
pathway, because they say be prepared. You don't know when
That is the motto
yes,
of Boy
yes,
Scouts.
Be prepared.
Yes.
Someone might say, what is your qualification someday? It might want to take you somewhere. Just be prepared. I want to thank you, young men, for coming on the program. Chika Moso, thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming.
sir. Thank you,
Yes,
viewers.
Barrister Sam, thanks for coming.
Thank you so
It's always a pleasure having you guys. We've just had the faculty, and today we've looked at JAM in perspectives 2025 JAM examination. We've looked at the intrigues emanating from the just written examination, the role of students, parents, the society, teachers, and government. Whose responsibility is it to improve our standard of education? It's a collective responsibility, so is the
Yes.
summation. Thanks for joining us on the faculty. The faculty returns again tomorrow. Good afternoon.